It's your middle-aged man with borderline here. I wanted to address something, just a bit shallow. I don't have the information on me that I should have on the topic, but it's the personal side of this than listing facts. It is the connection or the similarities between ADHD and borderline personality. Yeah, this is not that uncommon that people probably get misdiagnosed with one or the other. Probably they will get diagnosed with having ADHD when they do have borderline. We have some similarities about how we handle stress and emotions and stuff like that. But there's also plenty of non-similar things, relevant so. Because before I got diagnosed with borderline, I of course, like many others, considered ADHD and more specifically ADD, the now not so used diagnose. I think it's incorporated into ADHD, which I think is really stupid from a personal, unprofessional point of view, because while I could relate to some things, ADD, I in no way can relate to this much broader term called ADHD. The terms aside, it is understandable that these things get mixed up, that we have more than a couple of persons in the world probably who has been misdiagnosed with ADHD, who have borderline in reality. And the thing is, it is better probably to be misdiagnosed the other way around. Why? Because there are studies that show that people who go through the dialectic behavioral therapy, even if they are suffering from ADHD, get better, because there are, and I don't know how and why, there are things with this behavioral therapy that can help people with ADHD also. Interesting, right? Well, my topic on this, my point of this video was not going into details about this, because frankly I don't really know so much about these things. I just wanted to address that sometimes you meet up with people that are suffering from one thing or another, and they will project this onto other people. I had an intimate chat with a girl about half a year ago, and she was convinced that I suffered from ADD. And when I listed things typical of my borderline personality, she said, well, that is ADD also. And it didn't matter to her that I also listed a few things that are not typical of ADD. And this was annoying, of course, and I think since we haven't talked really since that time, she got annoyed also with me for being stubborn and not listening to her wisdom about this. Anyway, I have been diagnosed, so I know the differences. I know that I cannot relate to what is typical of persons with ADHD. Some with people that have ADD, of course, but that is mainly because these things does do things in a similar way in inflicting issues in a person. But so does stomach flu and stomach cancer as well. They will give us similar conditions, and if I hit my head hard, and if I got a migraine, or if I have cluster headaches, there will be instances where all of these things are similar if you list conditions. That means the relevant thing is not those things. It is the unique criteria that is interesting. What do I have that doesn't match AD&D? And then you will start to pick up on things that no Venn diagram in the world with ADHD and borderline overlap. They are unique for this condition. That is how professional medical personnel, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, that is how they determine a diagnosis of a person, of a patient. They look for the unique things, not the things related to several conditions. Not for the headache, not for the stomach ache, not for the troubles in regulating emotions, if you're talking about this thing. Rather, you're looking for the things that I in no way can relate to. And attention span issues in any way is one of those things. I do not have any attention span issues. I've always been interested in everything. I've always had it quite easy in school. No, I'm not very disciplined. That's why I considered ADD once. But emotional distress, which I have suffered greatly from in school because of bullying, for instance, is a better answer to this. And under stimulation. I was quite gifted in school. I'm not bragging, that's just a fact. I could read before I was 4. And when you get to a public school like this, you will end up in an environment with little to none stimulation. Rather, I'm forced to wait on my classmates for them to finish their projects. And by doing so, I lose interest in school, and I start to sometimes fall back, because eventually my my giftedness is of no bigger relevance. I will end up falling behind. So, while school was never really difficult for me, I still struggled sometimes. It became worse the older I became, and I never developed any good, healthy ways of dealing with the discipline you need in school. Like when you get home, you sit down and you oh, I'm filming him in an embarrassing moment. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn the camera away. Well, you get my point. I can find a reason to why I still haven't had a frictionless, perfect school, and those are not related to AD&D. They are more related to other traumas in life, other problems, if you put it that way, and social things. I'm not brought up in an academic family, and I'm not sure my parents were very good at dealing with me in many ways. Being a borderline, I probably had emotional stress issues even from a young age. I know I had a lot of emotional outbursts, but so did a lot of kids of 1,000 various reasons. Sometimes those reasons are ADHD, but that's where the similarities begin to become weaker. I wouldn't say go away, they are there, but No, when I meet people with ADHD, we can shake hands on some things, but that's not the same as we are being brothers from another mother, or even that. We are probably just by happenstance having very similar variables that are reminiscent of each other. So the point I'm making here is be careful when you diagnose a friend. You can have your suspicions, of course, but if this person actually lets you know, well, you know what, just 6 months ago I visited a professional and I got diagnosed, quite clearly diagnosed, with almost matching 9 out of 9 criteria perfectly of borderline. Then it doesn't really matter your opinion that, hey, I think this person match what I have also. Yeah, because so does every other person out there, without that meaning anything. And that also includes a discussion about treatment. I've already briefly mentioned this, but I've had a falling out with a friend who couldn't handle me telling her off. She insisted that I should ask for medication, that would help me, because she have a friend with borderline that this I don't remember what the medicine was, but it helped this friend. In no way did it matter that I explained to her, well, I've just been diagnosed and my therapist says that we are going to go the conventional way with dialectic behavioral therapy, because guess what? That is what helps. And medicines are only to be used very scarcely and in very specific conditions. Medicines are not your go-to solution in any way for borderline. You use it basically mostly to treat when a person also has a rampant depression. But that's not really what most borderline people suffer from. We suffer from periods where we get depressed because of our external conditions. But those periods can last anything from a couple of hours to a couple of weeks. Then they usually go away again. And you cannot really stabilize this by medication. It is a really, really bad temporary fix in this case. Borderline is not treatable with medication. It is only in certain cases beneficial to aid. And yeah, this person, my ex-friend, couldn't handle me telling her off. Couldn't handle me saying that I was tired of being lectured on my own condition, which she obviously didn't understand even the basics in, since she consistently argued that no, I was wrong. Medication is important. It didn't matter that I posted links on how treatment usually looks for borderline patients from, the best and reputable sources you can imagine. Nope. She knew better. Well, in that case, you're dealing with a person that is probably suffering from her own conditions, unregulated ones. And in my case, I think this person is quite narcissistic. Can't handle the fact that she wasn't omniscient of how humans act and behave. She I think she regards herself as a very good people person and knows and understands people, and yeah, she does in many cases. But she doesn't understand me better than I do myself. We only knew each other for like 4 years, and she doesn't understand my condition better than my therapist did, and she didn't really understand this condition. So that's 3 out of 3, which she was wrong in. All she had was this personal experience that's not really personal. It's her friend and her unique condition. I mean, I tried to explain to her several times that, listen, I know you mean well, but this is annoying. This is really, really annoying. I need to believe in what I'm doing to make it work. That's how therapy works. You need to believe what you're doing. I can't second guess myself in every instance. I can't really introduce a new element that my doctor specifically said, no, that's not relevant for you. You are not suffering from depression. You are suffering from depressive states sometimes, really bad ones, but it's not depression. Not the condition which we call clinical depression. That is something else. And this is hard. People who mean well but just can't stop. They can't stop lecturing you about your own problems. That's more important to this person to be right on this matter than to listen to what I actually said. I mean, I presented in all friendly ways when I was feeling good what my issues was and what's unique about my condition compared to probably what is more unique for her other friend's condition. But I were not able to reach her, and in the midst of me having one of the worst spots in my life, my girlfriend and I broke up. I was left with basically no future hope, nowhere to live. In that moment, she decided she had enough of me, not listening to her, not accepting her gospel, not being a very, I don't know what she expected of me, but I think she was generally fed up with me complaining about my life. I get that, but her timing, that was just plain evil. Incredibly evil. Who the hell lets a person know, nope, I'm breaking up with you as a friend at a time where they are rock bottom? I was almost stunned by this. It actually, incredibly enough, made me so shocked that I felt a little better. It was just so incredibly selfish. Ridiculously selfish. This is a person that I've stood by while she contacted me at all about all strange issues she suffers from in life. Then I was there as a friend and listened and gave my advice. But the other way around, when she wanted to lecture me, or rather, when I suffered and I asked for just some friendly words, she decided to lecture me and get mad because I didn't listen. It is absurd. I mean, I'm still, 6 months later, I'm still amazed by this. It is just incredible how a person can act this way. It is such a level of asshole that I can't really even fathom it. This was a person I was friend with 4 years, confided in about all sorts of things, about my mental health and how I felt and the struggles I went through with my girlfriend at the time. And then she drops this bomb on me. when I was on rock bottom. Yeah, that's not how you act with a borderline personality disorder person. Please don't. Even if a lot of our crying out for help and talking about committing suicide is, like with every person talking about it, mostly a cry for help, I was so bad, in such a bad state of mind, that I actually contemplated it for real. I've already at that time figured out how to do it, and all kinds of really, really bad signs. I kind of gave up. And yeah, that was not that was not a good spot in life. It is probably the worst I've ever been. And in times like that, you kind of realize also who are your friends and who are not. And this person revealed her true self really with a bang that time. Well, so bear that in mind. You might be a relative fed up with your borderline friend or partner, but regardless of anything, regardless of how tiresome we can become, please remember that we are still people, and we mean you no harm, even if we are very annoying. Please just bear with us in our bad times, and when we are in a good spot, then drop us as friends if you cannot bear with our emotional sides anymore. So, my life in the year 2024 has been a very shifting life. I've lost girlfriends, home, and almost lost my life, and I lost one of my best friends. So yeah, when things get that bad, it kind of feels really absurd, everything. Really, really absurd. So I know people mean well when they give advice. Oh, look at here. Here comes. Hey. I know they mean well, but some advice are actually really bad advice, and if any advice is relevant here, it is for the untreated person, the one without a diagnosis. They probably could use with a push towards help, professional help. Always professional help. Don't listen to people who want to treat you with all kinds of bullshit, woo and other things. You can't really help this with that. This is a more complicated matter than any chemical. May it be some pseudoscientific thing or a real medicine. This is more complicated than any of those things to fix this. It is a behavioral thing. It is a thing that must be controlled through the mind. So any advice outside of that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about good advice and bad advice on that level also, but not in this clip. This clip is already 25 minutes long, so well, I needed to vent this, so that was the point of this post. I haven't really talked to very many people about how annoyed I became of my friend breaking up with me and giving me bad advice, and the other girl before that who couldn't let her pride get in her way of talking with me and my diagnose. It was an eye-opener to bad advice in general and how to deal with it and how not to deal with it. So it's a windy day. I'm hoping that the sound has been okay, at least from time to time. And until the next video, have a nice one, folks.